What's up, man? It's Bronco the Frog coming at you with another reaction video. Something strange happens when Pedri gets the ball by the purest football. Go subscribe to him, get him to 212,000 subscribers at the time of this recording. The Champions League games have not happened yet. It is currently Monday. Barcelona and Atletico Madrid play Wednesday, so I don't know if Pedri has a stinker by the time this video come out, or he could have a masterclass out there against the Atleti for the rematch, and then this would be the perfect time for this video to come out, man. What is he gonna talk about? They say something strange happens when he gets the ball. Let's see what goes down.
Why is it that Pedri always has so much space?
He say, why is it that the man Pedri always had so much space? It's like, I never really thought about that, or it never crossed my mind, or I never really noticed that he had a whole bunch of space. He say 1, 2, 3, 4. They literally just letting him pass the way he want or dribble the way he want.
That opponent seems to just arrive a step too late.
Is it because he's that good? Like, he just make it look easy?
And why is it that a single glance can hypnotize markers into leaving him alone?
The boy gets scared. They boy say, hell no.
All of this is possible because Pedri plays football in a very specific way, harnessing one of the game's most powerful concepts in a way that few others do. Today, we're going to explore what makes Pedri so untouchable and why he might give us a glimpse into football's future.
Ooh, into the future in terms of the way
the data we'll use in this video comes from the Football app.
Shout out Footmob.
Myself, app for data, that good stuff.
Yeah, I'll go get that hoe. Shout out
So why
Footmob.
is it that opponents just can't get close to Pedri? One thing you'll notice when he's on the ball is that there's a sense of possibility. Very rarely does he immediately commit to a decision. A pass opens up, he considers it, turns it down. Another option, not that one either, and eventually
I like that. I like that, Pedri. I like it.
Told by a coach that the best players always know what they're going to do with the ball before it comes to them. But Pedri breaks that rule emphatically. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Because I often say a lot of people always, as soon as they get the ball, they don't need to. It's weird because this is the opposite of what I've seen on Twitter. On Twitter, there was like, when it comes to like academy players or this or that, the players who hold the ball on the longest, no, the players who don't have the ball at their feet for long are usually be the most elite ones because they don't need the ball by their feet to be elite. It was something like that, bro.
To do with it.
Like they be dishing that hell, running, get it back, dish it, shoot.
Improvisation. And that's something the player himself has acknowledged. In an interview, he admitted that, when I'm on the pitch, I don't think, I improvise.
I like
to some,
that.
This might seem inefficient
Use
or
your
indecisive,
instincts.
but it's actually extremely effective. Improvisation, done well, is arguably the most powerful thing a footballer can do.
What y'all think, man? It's like I got a Messi do. You think his stuff is improvisation or to be here on the field? Because, you know, he known as like a genius. When he be scanning on the field, I think I got a Messi is a thinker versus an improvisationist. Is that a word? A thinker versus an improvisationist. I don't know.
Consider that you're a defender facing Pedri. Immediately, you're put in a state of complete unknown. If he doesn't know what he's going to do next, then how can you? The ball could go left,
that's
could go
facts,
right, or he could even
wow.
attempt to dribble past you. And the problem is that if you commit to stopping any
he
one
gonna
of
fake
those,
pass and then dribble
punish
forward.
you with whatever option remains.
Hey, big bronze, no ball, man.
In the game, you end up in this position of paralysis, not wanting to just give him space,
stuck.
but also very wary of committing to stop him. I've described this behavior before as pausa, that Spanish word meaning pause, and it's attributed to players like Pedri who seem to play in their own time, who exhibit this physical hesitation on the ball.
They're pausa.
But on reflection, it's not really the pause itself that's important. It's this process of constantly juggling potential decisions, which traps the opponent in a near impossible situation.
So nobody, so you telling me no other midfielder does the pausa that you're talking about? I find that kind of hard to believe.
Of course, while Pedri makes this look very fluid and easy, the ability to remain in control while shifting seamlessly from one option to another requires extraordinary quality.
True.
Both technical quality and perception, which we talked about last video. Not only is he remaining aware of the movement of his teammates and the subtle shifts of the opponent, but he's also able to keep the ball glued to him while it's all unfolding.
Yeah, man.
Moving the ball from one side to the other
What you
and
reaching
keeping
that,
it away
boy?
from the defender. The fact that he can also execute these line-breaking passes on top of that is pretty ridiculous. And the reason he's able to rack up good chance creation while he's at it.
Let me download it right now.
98th percentile for chances created.
I'm gonna scan the QR code after.
When you put all of that together, it becomes clear why Pedri is
so untouchable
and why When you put
Y'all
all of
seen
that
that?
together, it becomes clear
Boom,
why
boom.
Pedri
Oh,
is
he
so
brought
untouchable
that.
amongst
Bro,
the
the
midfielders.
goal. I don't know.
When you put all of that
Pedri and the
together,
opponent
it becomes
both kicked it up like unanimously, togetherly, teamworkily, and Pedri brought it back down with that same
why Pedri
foot.
is so untouchable, and why something as subtle as a glance can throw defenders off. Because
if I had that power, nigga, I'd be abusing the fuck out the hell. I had the ball, had a ass jumping this shit. I don't know what you jumping in.
The opponent isn't doing anything wrong in trying to block it. The problem is that Pedri will simply improvise the next best move.
Here's your guy.
Improvisation then is so powerful because it makes you fundamentally unpredictable. Without a clear plan of your own, you remain open to all the potential options as they emerge, and it becomes much harder for your opponent to respond to you. It's no coincidence that the best and most beautiful attacking football is improvisational, with not just one player but multiple.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Like in a jazz performance. Defenders put in this situation are in complete
They don't know what to do
and simply guessing.
You can't do it,
next.
to be fair. Yeah, you gotta guess.
Of course, this isn't unique to football. In any competitive game, the more predictable your plan, the easier it is for your opponent to respond. Yet in the football world, at least right now, there seems very little appreciation for this. Because when it comes to attacking, there is an awful lot of predictability and very little improvisation.
Arsenal.
In fact, I go as far as to say that the majority of coaches are actively concerned with making their teams more predictable rather than less.
That's that pep shit.
For example, much of a coach's pre-game preparation will be about giving the players a clear picture of what's going to happen, explaining the shape they're going to attack with, the expected shape of the opponent.
That leads us to basically he's saying Pedri is an old school player. That brings us back to the whole debate of modern football versus old school football. Modern football is more robotical, more tactical, more do this, do that. You go here, you play your role, do this and that, versus the free-flowing football like in the thousands and early 2010s.
And then the specific methods of creating threat, depending on what the opponent does. In this example from Will Still, the plan was to first find runners into depth, and if that isn't possible, then switching to the other side to create an overload. So everyone knows where to be, where everyone else will be, and the general plan when you have the ball. The uncertainty of the game is reduced as much as possible.
But again, we're just sort of painting the picture for them. We just want to make it as obvious, as clear as possible, and that everyone is on the same sort of page of the book.
Of course, there are clear benefits to doing this. In making the game knowable and predictable, you create cohesion between players. They can carry out their jobs efficiently and in unison. That's particularly useful defensively, because by managing where and how you attack, you can create stable situations when you use it. Mikel Arteta's Arsenal are the perfect modern example of this.
But I tell y'all boys, man, I told y'all, them Gunner boys, man, predictability.
Disciplined teams at the top level. Arteta has reportedly said that football is a game of habits and angles.
Look at that.
Implying that the more knowable and repeatable game situations are, the better they can be carried out. He's been known to use memorization as a technique to help players to internalize
they are first
their
in the prem, but for how long?
Given that, it's no surprise they have become such a consistent and orderly unit. When they're on the ball, very rarely do they step outside of the given parameters, and that's resulted in a watertight rest defence, part of their exceptional defensive record, conceding by far the lowest XG in the Premier League. But it should also be no surprise that Arsenal's attack is fairly underwhelming. Despite leading the league, they are just 5th for open play XG. Because all of that rigorous preparation and adherence to the plan leaves little room for improvisation. And if you can't improvise, you're going to have a serious problem once your plan is figured out. It's not just Arsenal, but a lot of teams have problems once your plan is figured out.
This is why I think these niggas for the bottom of the league. Yakasaki is your plan. Come on, man. Yakasaki, the plan. The plan, huh?
It's not just Arsenal, but a lot of teams that are suffering from this currently. I know there's a lot of talk about the death of attacking football, but all that's happened is that everyone is so heavily invested in their plans, in making the game as knowable and predictable as possible. But what's predictable for you is also predictable for your opponent, and those plans have simply been figured out. And while the temptation may be to design new and more elaborate plans, we will inevitably end up right back in the same place. What Pedri has shown us, though, is a glimpse of an alternative,
Pedri.
an attacking renaissance that is not built on planning and predictability,
Just
but
instincts.
on uncertainty
Well, y'all sure this
and
instincts
improvisation.
he's saying, or is he cat?
However, I think it's important to end by saying that it's no longer enough to rely on individual players
He in
for
the
this
top
source of
98
spontaneity.
chances created.
As I explained in my video on Mavericks, most teams already have no problem employing the spontaneous, unpredictable
Cole
players
Palmer,
who
okay.
have a lot of freedom on the ball. I'm sure there are many that you can list. But the reality is that there's only
Hold on,
so
he said
much
list 'em?
individual. I'm sure there are many of these spontaneous, unpredictable players
Cole
who
Palmer?
have a lot of freedom on the ball. I'm sure there are many that you can list.
Like he said, Cole Palmer, Jeremy Doku, we got Desiree Dure, we got Ousmane Dembele, we got Barkala, we got Meme All, of course. You know, hey, like he said, they coming back for sure.
But the reality is that there's only so much individual players can accomplish. If you take all of the examples of Pedri from this video, while he may be the one in possession, most of the uncertainty in the defenders is created by his teammates, by their positions and behaviour. So if that behaviour also becomes predictable, then Pedri will find himself with fewer options and fewer potentialities.
Boss
to
is just a
improvise around.
well-oiled machine.
So the question is not
Hey,
whether we make
defense is
room
ass.
for unpredictable individuals, but how to achieve an unpredictable collective.
Collective.
Is it possible to do that while retaining cohesion and balancing the defensive side of the game? Fortunately, teams around the world have already started experimenting with that balance.
Hey.
And I'd love to know if there's any teams that you've seen who lean into a more spontaneous
I feel
attacking
like
approach.
Bayern.
Because next time, we're going to be looking at exactly that. We will finally begin our deep dive into those teams who are taking their first tentative steps into the unknown.
Yes,
If you'd like to see that, make sure you
into the new cycle of the evolution of football. We're finally leaving this robotic Pep Guardiola era of football, and we're entering a new cycle. History repeats itself. Freedom will come back. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Thank God Almighty. We were free at last, or whatever MLK said. Hey, Purist Football, go subscribe to Patreon, go subscribe to the YouTube channel, like up the original video. I can't wait till that next video come out, because I feel like Bayern Munich got to be like the free for. Well, we go see when Bayern play Real Madrid tomorrow, but hopefully I'll be live for, well, this is going to be after, so don't even worry about it. Hello!